All right, guys, welcome to today's video. I'm actually going to do a podcast with my friend Jack Ferguson. He's another expat living here in Bangkok. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Kyle. I am 40 years old. I make content and videos based around health, fitness, travel, lifestyle, and I also document my acting and stuntman journey here in Bangkok. So we have connected online, and we are actually much different than the normal Bangkok expats, in my opinion. We are not Bangkok influencers, vloggers. We're not making videos around using Bangkok to make content and try to sell you some courses. We are actually on the ground doing legitimate stuff. He's a fighter and coach. I'm an actor and stuntman. And I also make money online doing other businesses from the US, but I don't consider myself a digital nomad. Do you?
No.
No? Okay. So we're actually here on the ground, probably different from most of the guys that are, like I said, doing crypto, selling high ticket courses, or doing high ticket remote income sales. So be very interesting to talk to Jack. So Jack, why don't you go ahead and do a quick introduction?
Sure. So, guys, for those of you that don't know, my name's Jack Ferguson. As Kyle said, I'm a professional fighter living here in Thailand. I've been here for 8 years now, and yeah, also doing some acting, modeling, stuff like that. But mostly around fighting too.
Cool. So today we're just going to cover a few topics. We're going to do like our origins and where we're from. Jack's from New Zealand. I'm from the United States. Talk a little bit about our growing up and upbringing, and then our common love of martial arts and martial arts training, philosophies, routines. And then we're going to go through like some dark times that we had to overcome. And we're also going to talk about like life here in Thailand, our lifestyle setup, cost of living, dating and stuff like that. And then that's pretty much it. So yeah, I grew up in the Van Damme and action movie era growing up, and also Ninja Turtles. So I actually did several things growing up, but I was remember being in karate at a young age, and then all of a sudden I thought I was a professional fighter or did Ninja Turtles or something. I watched too many Van Damme movies, and I think I had an altercation with kids at school. And the next thing you know, the teacher was like telling my parents he can't take karate anymore. And the next thing you know, I was out of martial arts classes and back to like or doing regular sports. So I kind of started at a young age with martial arts and then abruptly stopped and probably went into more normal athletics. Like I played football. I was really good at baseball, and I was actually really good at basketball as well. I didn't play that in high school or college, but I played competitively baseball in high school. And I remember always liking martial arts and actually wrestling. And when I was in high school, I had the wrestling coach wanting me to be on the wrestling team, and it was right after football. So I was always going to be like injured and tired, and I was like, nah, I can't do it. He would always like call me out a pussy and all this stuff. This is the wrestling coach in high school, right? So I was like, man, I don't have the energy for it. I'm good at sports. I just don't want to do it. And then one day he got under my skin so much, and he was like, oh, well, that's because you're not going to be good. And my 100 and whatever weight, 20 pounds less than you can wipe the floor with you. So I remember after school ended, I was like, hey, if you think so, I actually want to try to wrestle this guy. So I remember going to the wrestling mats in the high school before I went to weightlifting for football during off season. And I challenged this kid that was like shorter than me, smaller than me. And I actually gave him a pretty good run. And yeah, it was just a fun time. Like just back in high school, there's no like fake feminism and all that shit. Like it was more masculine, like,
Right.
the coaches could tease you, they could, you would get bullied and stuff and have to overcome that stuff. But yeah, I always had a kind of a love for like martial arts. But
One thing that I found interesting, bro, was you said that you had your first sort of altercation at school, and then your parents immediately took you out of martial arts as if that's the problem. Whereas for myself, being a fighter and also a coach, I feel like all kids should do martial arts because it's actually the solution. You sort of get the confidence, you can kind of learn to understand that not only is fighting not necessary in a way, but it's almost like how to say, it's almost like you don't really view it the same. You're not scared of the interaction, and so you can easily walk away. Tell me what you think about that in the sense of like being pulled away from something that you actually think was probably the solution to the problem.
Yeah, again, I was so young, and I don't know exactly now thinking back what happened. I just remember being in karate, and then there was an incident, and then next thing you know, I am the teachers were calling my parents, and it was a whole big ordeal. I think there was an injury. Either I got injured or another kid got injured, and I broke some stuff in school. And the next thing I know, I was like not in karate class anymore. And I don't know the whole story. I was just really young, and the next thing you know, I started playing other sports and doing other things and excelled in that. So I didn't come to really train and see martial arts until I was really like in my late 20s, early 30s, and I moved to LA and started doing the acting and stunts. And I realized that just having a good physique and being able to lift weights in those sports did not give me the agility or the skills to actually, for really good functionality. And then I started doing martial arts. So yeah, that's pretty much from then on, I've been training more functional gymnastics. Mainly, I did taekwondo first. I did that seriously for about 2 years, and I actually did a couple tournaments in LA. And yeah, my senseis were, I don't know if you know Jun Chong. He's a very well known martial arts instructor in Los Angeles, and then Philip Ree and Simon Ree. They're actually both from the best movies back in like the '90s, and they're brothers and also stuntmen. So they were my senseis, and yeah, that was a good base for stunts as well as training taekwondo.
Right, because I feel like as someone who's done martial arts a lot of the time, I had very similar at school. You know, you get picked on, whatever, get into fights or something like that, and the first thing parents always want to do is take martial arts out of the equation. They think my kid doing wrestling is going to make him violent. My kid doing karate or something is going to make him want to pick fights more. And I feel like it's almost the opposite. I feel like it's something that you take with you, and you're calm under pressure. You're not really forced into, being scared or intimidated of an altercation. If it happens, you're at least confident that you can defend yourself. But I often find that martial artists tend to look for trouble less than people who are less confident, because a lot of people, they don't want to fight, but their ego can't allow them to back down, and they end up fighting when not like neither of them wanted to actually engage, right? But I feel like if you've trained and you've fought before and you understand it, you're like, is this really worth my time? It's not like you understand more, I guess, the outcome or the potential outcome of an altercation like that too, right?
Exactly. Yep. And I've definitely been in situations in college and also some jobs and around, heavy alcohol drinking and drug use and stuff. Being a club bouncer and a nightclub promoter in Miami, especially. And yeah, it's just been a very good tool to use to know certain things and have the confidence and being very well of your surroundings and able to really diffuse a situation. And if you have to, then there's been situations where the martial arts or just kind of like grappling more so in that environment, because you can't really strike somebody if you're doing a job. You need to be able to kind of use your hands and more physical strength, which I think like grappling and wrestling has definitely helped me out as well. But yeah, I definitely would agree. Martial arts is definitely something kids and even adults should train and be aware of. To especially young men should get involved in some sort of martial arts, whether it's striking, jujitsu, judo,
Yeah.
taekwondo.
How do you feel like your training philosophy or your martial arts experience carried over into your personal life? Perhaps not martial arts or combat related, but the principles from martial arts moving into your personal life, the dedication, the discipline, the structure or something like that. How do you feel like it interacted with the other parts of your life?
Yeah, martial arts definitely. I have used it to be able to calm my nervous system and stress levels, like with the breathing meditation and how you're supposed to actually breathe when you throw a punch and you are training, and how to keep your stamina up for the entire duration of the class. And then just when you're looking at somebody and you have that fear and just really visualizing yourself in a better position. Like, when I would start sparring, when I first started, it was, or, you have punches thrown at your head. You always want to look away and stuff. And just being able to breathe and relax under pressure. And, you definitely have to practice and have the punches thrown at you. And I definitely agree with being in, doing sparring as well to keep you under control as well. But overall, just pretty much, yeah, breath work and meditation and deep visualization to see yourself in a better spot.
I definitely agree because I feel like when I was younger, especially like early teens or whatever, you're developing, you got testosterone for the first time in your body. And I felt, I guess, somewhat emotional or emotionally driven, whether it be super happy, super angry, I didn't really have like a distinct control over my emotions. And I feel like I would act out and perhaps get into trouble or situations that probably weren't necessary at the time, but I didn't know how to, like you said, control your breathing, like make decisions under pressure. I get sort of, I feel like the pressure would get the best of me. But since I was doing something like jujitsu, especially when you're stuck on the bottom, right, and you feel like you're drowning, and someone bigger is on top of you or something, and you feel like that spazzing out and going crazy isn't the way to fix it, and so you have to stop, breathe, think logically. Okay, get my underhook, get my head position here, go through the sequence of solving the problem that could, you know, get you out of the situation rather than just going crazy, throwing everything at the wall and trying to get up, probably end up drowning, right? Like, is that something that you feel is very similar in perhaps your business life or maybe even when you're acting now too, right? Like you get the scene wrong, you don't get angry, you have to try it again, remember the lines or something like this too?
Yeah, definitely all that applies to anything in life, business, dealing with other people, and definitely martial arts and sports and keeping your body in shape. I would definitely agree with that.
And do you feel like it's something that would have ever pulled you out of like a dark time or a dark place in your life? Like I know that everyone's got their ups and downs or something like that. Do you think that some of these principles would be something that you could have used to pull you out of like a perhaps a dark time or a situation that you felt like you weren't doing the right thing at that time?
Yeah, definitely. I have always gone back to taking care of my health, even if you're in a dark time. It's you do have control over your health and your fitness level and also your strength. So as long as you take care of your body, I believe your mind will follow as well. So definitely using like martial arts, physical strength, meditation, and actually just staying as much if you like, for example, when I had shoulder surgery 4 years ago, and it was a pretty dark time. I went from, you know, being in good shape to the entire right side of my body where I had my shoulder surgery, like, shriveled up, and I was skinny, and I couldn't lift my arm for, 3 months, and then just the recovery alone was a very dark time because I couldn't really work out, so I'm just sitting at home, no work, no jobs coming in. I can't work even if I wanted to, so I had to just sit there and try to develop other parts of my life, which I had put a lot into being this guy that's very active, strong, fit, martial arts. I'm a stuntman. I'm an actor and all that stuff. Everything that really defined me, I had to like really put that aside and put my ego aside and really develop my mind even stronger to overcome that.
Mhm. And can you think of like a specific example or maybe a specific time? I know you mentioned before about your shoulder surgery. Is there anything that when you felt like bottom of at your worst moment and you could use some of these principles or characteristics to help see the way through, see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak? Is there anything like that that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, just overall, when I've been all alone and really had time to just be with my thoughts and embrace my pain. I've used, martial arts and being able to actually know that I'm lucky and I have a lot of gratitude and use deep visualization to actually see myself in third person achieving my results or being that strong guy. And then, generally if the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and if you actually deeply visualize yourself in a certain situation. So it's all this kind of like it's like I guess Joe Dispenza type stuff, but it's actually really true is using deep visualization to, even when I was younger, when I was playing baseball, I visualized myself hitting a home run before the day before a game, and that would actually happen several times the next day during the game. It was kind of like I was in third person, like it wasn't actually happening. I was seeing out of my own body and seeing it really happen and visualizing it really happen in reality.
Yeah, and I think it's like one of the best things, like coming back on what you said, like trying to visualize or understand, like, okay, I can't do this right now. For yourself, your shoulders hurt. I can't do this, so I have to work on something else. I think it's something that I kind of use in my own time, I guess, especially during COVID. All the gyms were closed. We weren't allowed to train martial arts, which was like my main focus at the time. And that's kind of how I got into acting and stuff like that because being here in Thailand, I speak Thai like not fluent, but pretty good. And a lot of the other foreigners had to go back to their home country. And so one thing was I ended up getting asked to do acting jobs and stuff like that. And I'm the first person to tell you, like, I'm not an actor, bro. Like, I'm not a model, so to speak. I've never been to an acting class or something like that. I kind of just show up and take photos and hope that it hope it looks good, you know what I mean? And just using that kind of philosophy of like, okay, we're locked in our room. We can't do this, but I can start to develop something else, something new outside of the norm. And I think that you can tell a lot of about a person by their reaction to something like that, their reaction to stress. Because during COVID, I saw sort of two paths. One person would like just, we're locked inside, they drink, they smoke, they play Xbox. And then the other people like, okay, well, I've always said I don't have time for fitness. Now I'm locked in my room for 3 months. I've got nothing but time. So I think you sort of judge a lot about the person through the decisions that they make while they're under pressure, while they're in that sort of dark time or when they feel lost, perhaps. Do you think so?
Absolutely. Like during COVID, I did notice a lot of people either buckling under pressure and just drinking or smoking weed. Luckily, I was in a place and I actually got access to a martial arts gym through the owner. And the guy didn't even know me. Like I was like, "Hey, I noticed the gym's gonna be closed." I was like, "Do you mind if I pay you just to use the gym?" And this guy gave me the keys to his gym. I all I did was like show him. Was like, "Hey, I'm an actor and stuntman. I'm just here in town. I'm gonna see my parents for a month and see what happens during COVID." Guy gives me a keys to the dojo, and I luckily I had the gym and I had my same routine ability to work out and actually use a gym. So but, yeah, overall, there's no excuse. Even if something happens, you can always go outside in the sun and, um, walk around or go to the park. So, there's no excuse to really buckle under pressure, and if you get in that system of I have an addictive personality, like, I used to have a drinking problem, I guess you can say, like, and it would one day would turn into a week of drinking every night, and then that just turns into bad decisions, and then, of course, I had problems with the law in my mid to late 20s, especially, working in nightclubs as a bartender and promoter, and just overall in the wrong place at the wrong time. I got arrested in Orlando, Florida 3 times, and then another time I did get a DUI, and that set me back financially, obviously, thousands of dollars, a lot of time wasted. My rap sheet was online, so I didn't have a job at the time, and then that made it even more difficult for me to get a job because every interview is gonna wanna do a background check before they hire you, so that kinda just led to the freelance entrepreneurship, mode that I've been in the past, like, 15 years, and also I found good thing I found the martial arts and a discipline that I actually enjoy doing, and then that led into other things like acting and stuff like that. And this is all during, my mid-20s, very, ups and downs times, dark times, and then also some breakthrough moments as well, and that kind of just led me to the past 10 years finding my love for martial arts and training and discipline and development, and then helping other people do the same thing.
I find it interesting that you said that they almost propelled you forward. Like, it sounds weird, but it's almost as if you needed that to happen to push you where you needed to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like a hitting rock bottom to actually.
Right. Because like a lot of people, they haven't had the risk or they haven't had necessarily the bad experiences that perhaps you've mentioned before. And I feel like that is why they're comfortable in their office job or they're comfortable in their what was laid out for them by their parents or the teacher or the priest or whoever. because something that I find that's a very common theme when I speak to entrepreneurs like yourself or some other people that we know around town, and it always seems to be like everything was comfortable, everything was okay, possible, and then something happened, and that sort of pulled them back to shoot them forward. The same thing, you know what I mean? I got into a little bit of trouble. Very similar story when I was probably about 19, 20, right before coming to Thailand. Was in a bit of trouble back home. Um, just normal stupid stuff, you know, that teenagers or early 20s do, fighting and whatever. And then that kind of it sort of shocked me, I guess, much the same where I was like, all right, the only thing that is really the only reason I'm waking up is to go and train or waking up. The only thing I care about is training and I don't care about my job. I don't care about this or anything else. And so I'm going to pursue this full time. And perhaps if I hadn't had that shock or that, you know, drawback, I maybe wouldn't have been motivated enough to make the move to Thailand and be here for so long or to set the routines that we have now to get out of the position that we were in at the time. Is that something you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think that every man needs to struggle. There has to be some kind of a origin story where you break through that. And it's going to, you know, some people it comes early in life and some people later in life. So definitely, it's very important for a man to have his purpose. If he doesn't have a purpose, then he kind of just dies or has no course in life. And he's just going to be stuck in that mediocre type of lifestyle, I think.
Do you think it's something that, for me, I feel like a lot of people they almost live vicariously through other people that they see. Like for myself, right? Like obviously I'm an athlete and I love to watch martial arts, boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, something like that. And for me, I like to watch it because I know the people that are fighting, or you know, it's my weight class, so I'm interested in it, right? But I've always sort of maintained my own identity, whereas I feel like some people, their Instagram name is like football fan 27 or something. And it's like their entire life, the most interesting thing about them is the fact that they're a fan of what someone else is doing. Every weekend, they can't wait to go to the bar to watch some guy kick a ball. You know what I mean? That's like their life goal. Whereas I feel like they're almost like a bystander, a secondary character in their own life. And what do you think about like not necessarily being selfish, but putting yourself first, realizing what you want, what you feel like you need, and then setting the routine that you know will lead you to that outcome.
Definitely, yeah. I used to watch sports growing up, and I had, of course, my heroes, but now I don't. I don't even consider myself a fan. I prefer to actually do the thing, do the martial arts, play the sport. Yeah, I don't really watch sports. I'll watch UFC every once in a while. I used to watch. If I was also a gambler on sports, so I would watch some. If I was gambling on a certain event, watch that. But that's been done for like over 20 years now. Of course, I did, like I said, I had my heroes, but definitely I saw myself more. I wanted to be doing the sport or achieving those goals rather than vicariously through someone else.
And do you have any like tips or tricks like for your routine that you set to maintain your focus or something like that? Like how did you change from being the guy you talked about to the guy you are now? What was the routine or the key differences that you had to change into the person that you are now?
Working really hard on self development and my discipline, like whether it's breath work in the morning, meditation, like I said, visualization, cutting out all degenerate stuff, drinking, partying, going out, just being alone, and really, if I was in pain or having a bad time, really dwelling on that and sitting there and embracing that, and then going out and, really doing the physical stuff, taking care of my health, going on trips, traveling. That's really been a real travel. I've been to over 30 countries. So I think that traveling and experiencing those kind of experiences has really developed my character and, gave me some more happy times to think about during if I do go through a bad time. I remember this trip or meeting these people and yeah, pretty much just, for example, I went to Koh Samui to train Muay Thai for 5 weeks in the beginning of 2024. And that kind of really just being alone and just in the villa, seeing the ocean, doing a lot of breath work, going to the beach, riding around the island on the moped, and then train and interacting with actually real fighters and sparring and training every day really is in a month that can make, over 2 years of self development if you can just do it for like strict monk mode, you want to call it, for like a certain amount of time, really helped me out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. My thing was I used to when I was living in New Zealand, I was working like construction outside, and so which is cool. It's like a good paying job, but then when it gets to winter time, it's raining, it's snowing, it's super cold. You don't want to be carrying steel in the morning, and so I used to come to Thailand, like you said, 2, 3 months a year during the winter to escape the winter, and then also develop my craft, work towards getting better at martial arts, and just experience the lifestyle. And I've realized that when I came here, 2021, I'd done it sort of 3, 4 years in a row, and then I decided I was like, "Yo, there's nothing really for me back home that I'm doing that is improving at the rate that I am improving here in Thailand." I think that's kind of what led me to stay here and be here for as long as I've been now. And I think that it's something that I would like to see a lot more people kind of take the risk, like yourself. You moved here since what, December, January, something like that. Talk a little bit about how your routines that you set, maybe 1 year ago or something, led you to being the person that you are living here in Thailand, and sort of how you've tried to maintain those routines since moving here.
Yeah, overall, just so I did the Koh Samui trip early 2024. I did go back to the US for the entire year, and I knew that I had to come up with a plan of how to, make remote income, make more money online so I could leave the US or at least leave Miami because it had just gotten too expensive and too crazy, and I was in the same trap of working at nightclubs and the nightclub business, and that just was not going to be sustainable for very long for my health and also money wise as well. So I developed during that year, 2024, last year, to actually make the move. And then I just decided I knew Thailand, the cost of living is great, the lifestyle is great, it has everything I want in terms of training, martial arts, the island life, and also the city life. And then I knew that I was going to have some opportunities. I didn't know it was going to be this good, but in terms of the acting and getting the jobs. So I just decided to really buckle down prior to coming over here so that I could have that all laid out and really thrive when I got here. And then in terms of just my overall routines, I wake up early and do breath work. I'll go to the park, clear my mind before I start work. If I have an audition or a job that day, that's going to obviously be the main focus of the day. But other than that, it's going to be just making content, working out, and um, you know, stuff in my free time, whether it's networking or, I'm dating a girl right now. I have a girlfriend, and not doing any degenerate stuff that Thailand offers. Cause these guys come here, they're young, they can really get caught up into that trap of, you know, doing the fun stuff and not really be able to lock in for a while, or it might take them a while and they can get carried away and then end up broke. Even in Thailand, it's not exactly cheap. I would say it's cost effective. It can be cheap, but if you do the degenerate stuff and you're not really locked in or you don't have a way to make money, it can catch up to you pretty fast. So that's kind of what I have found.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like you got a very similar idea in mind to myself, where you kind of want the life that you don't need a holiday for. You know what I mean? Like, I see people work all year. No, I can't wait to go to Thailand for 2 weeks, and then they go back and work all year. Whereas, much like yourself, you said you move here, the cost of living is cheaper. Perhaps the opportunity may be even more because uh, foreigners like yourself, that's also a stuntman that has the skill set that you have, you're probably a lot more scarce than you would be in the US or another European country, which is a benefit that I've taken advantage of as well. I guess speaking Thai as well makes me even more, uh, you know, the jobs that I can get is a lot more now since learning to speak Thai. But I think that you're definitely right in the sense that Thailand is a really good place to lock in, but you do have to have self-discipline. If you come to Thailand and you're given to temptation easy, it could be the worst place for you because anything you want is available any night of the week. And if you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it. If you're looking for, like you said, degenerate activities, you're going to find it. And it's easy to get stuck into the cycle of continuing that. Or much like yourself, you link up with some guys online like yourself, myself, and we've had nothing but positive interactions. And I found almost a really big community of like-minded guys that are just, they want to work online, make money, train, fight, enjoy everything that the country or even the surrounding countries has to offer. Do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, it can either eat you up or you can really thrive in this environment, I think. I'm choosing to really lock in and not do the degenerate stuff, and I'm actually, I have a purpose here. I wanna set up roots here for at least the 5 years that I have, my visa, and then we'll talk about that after, but, yeah, I, have made the choice to really and purposeful to have success here, and so far it's going really good, and I enjoy it, and, it offers everything that I want in terms of health and lifestyle, and then I just gotta say no to all the degenerate, the bad stuff.
Tell me, how did you select, or I guess when you first moved to Thailand, how do you select or decide what would be the degenerate behavior or perhaps the degenerate people to be involved with? And then how did you choose, like you said, you've got a girlfriend now. She's obviously a lovely girl. How did you feel like you navigated your way through that correctly?
Well, just by staying having my discipline and actually finding a good spot in a good part of town and just deciding that I was not gonna do any of that stuff, degenerate stuff, and I was gonna lock in and really focus on my business and training, and then, luckily, I have the demand for me for acting here, so I booked a few jobs, and that keeps my mind active and me motivated to keep doing that. Even though acting, I'm not a full-time actor. I've booked definitely a few jobs here, and it's been good so far. But it's not full-time. But anyways, I do love doing it, and it's just gonna propel me forward to keep a positive mindset and keep going forward. So, like I said, if you get it, I also did have, a girlfriend since pretty much when I met my first girl. I just broke up with her maybe a month ago, and that she was a great girl. Like, I met her within about 2 weeks of being here, so I wasn't really, doing any degenerate stuff. I wasn't really going out and partying. I would just be with her. She was totally cool with just coming over to the apartment and hanging out and watch TV, and, of course, I would take her out, to dinner and stuff, to rooftop bars, and because she was a great girl, she didn't ask me for anything, and, took her out for her birthday. But other than that, it was just, really good to have that kinda support and, a really good feminine girl, which Thailand definitely offers, that as well. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think I think it's hard to categorize, girls, especially in Thailand, just by the fact that they're from Thailand. There's millions of girls that are all going to be different. Some are the same as back in the US, and some are very similar to, I guess, the more traditional values here. But I think the problem is there's two kinds of girls realistically. There's girls you want to date, girls you want to have, fun with perhaps, or fun to hang out with. And I think as long as you don't mix those up, you're gonna have fun. It's gonna be great. I try to really avoid, I guess you pulled the fun girls because, like you said, it leads to going to the club. They want to go somewhere like they're sort of taking time away from the goal that you have. For me, I just like, I guess you call them traditionally good girls. Someone that you would be proud to introduce to your parents, so or to take to a business meeting or a work lunch or something like that. That would represent you well. And as long as that's what you look for, then that's fine. I mean, if you want to be the degenerate guy and you like the fun girls, that's cool for you. Enjoy, have fun, but it's not, I don't see it being as productive perhaps. But yeah, I do think that the girls here in Thailand are much more feminine or just a bit softer. Like girls in New Zealand, they're all like farmer girls, you know what I mean? Like if you need help moving furniture, they've got your back, you know what I mean? But they sort of started about 70, 75 kilos up. And I'm not a huge guy, you know what I mean? So
Oh, I weigh 79 kilos, so
yeah, the big girls, they go. So all right. There's a few cute ones, but for the most part, I just like the more feminine style of the Thai girls here. I think it is nicer, softer, easy to get along with. Yeah.
Yeah, I've dated many girls here, and it's mainly been done, met them online on Bumble, actually, and then I bring them over. I have a whole system. I believe that it's much easier if you have social status and then a good Instagram to attract these girls, and, it'll just save you a lot of time because they see your Instagram, they know what you're all about, they see your stories and on Instagram, and it just makes it a lot easier for me to show the status and what I'm all about, whether it's, fitness, martial arts, acting, lifestyle, traveling, and it's just been really much easier than the West, because especially the cities I've lived, like, the girls, they just wanna go do drugs, go to the club, go on yachts, and party, and was really hard. I did have a few good relationships in the States, but it can be very exhausting and very difficult to do that compared to here. Of course, I've met a few girls that have been corrupted by the Western culture, but for the most part, it's easy to recognize them. You can definitely tell by their Instagram profile and what they're doing, how that interaction is going to go. And then also with my dating experience, I've dated many women from all across the world, different cultures, and different big cities in the U.S. And yeah, I kind of know how to navigate that. I have the experience. So, but yeah, I'm over at this time. I've found it much easier just to have a girlfriend that supports you and is a really good girl. And that's kind of my status here. Other guys, they come here and they just want to hook up or go bar, and that can really take up a lot of your time chasing these girls because it's they're very feminine and they're very engaging. They will push for the relationship very early here as well. So you also have to vet them as well. But that's kind of my experience with the dating here. Have you had a girlfriend here, or you kind of just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so for me, I've had a couple girlfriends here that are, like I said, yeah, more good girls, girls that I would like legitimately call a girlfriend that I'm proud to take around and introduce to people and stuff like that. But a lot of the time I think it's more just, friends hanging out and something like that. But I think that hmm, yeah, there's a big difference, I guess, between, like you said, the types of girls that you're looking for. You can usually tell online. Like, for me, I think some of the red flags, I guess, would be like, if you see a girl that doesn't have a boyfriend, but she's been to every hotel, every bar, every restaurant, every rooftop bars, yeah, every country, perhaps, and she's never posted who's going with her. Because I got this sort of a feeling in my mind that realistically, girls don't pay for stuff, or pretty girls don't. I mean, if I'm with a pretty girl, I'm gonna cover whatever we're doing. And I feel like you can tell, like, okay, you're at that restaurant, now you're here, now you're there. Who's paying for this stuff? If it was her boyfriend, she would have been posting photos with her boyfriend. So it's probably a bunch of different dudes. So I don't feel like I look and go, I don't look at a girl's Instagram as being everywhere and go, wow, she's a independent business girl. She's making a killing. She's meeting a lot of people. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like, that's cool. And that's cool for her. She's enjoying her life, but it's not the girl that I want to date, marry, show off to everyone. You know what I mean? For me, I just like real simple, nice, supportive girls that are happy to be with you. You know what I mean? I like to spoil them, go different places, stuff like that. But yeah, I think you can tell pretty easy. What are some of the sort of red flags for you that you would say?
That you hit the nail. If I see the Instagram with her going to different countries just by herself, and she's a Thai girl on a Thai salary or something, then you know that a guy or she's being sponsored in somehow. So that's definitely a red flag. I like the girls that are posting family stuff, normal stuff. That's fine that if she goes out every once in a while, but if her whole Instagram is traveling or lifestyle, or she's always at a rooftop bar, then you kind of know what's going on there, And you can have fun with them or see what happens. Maybe they're nice, and that's fine. But generally, that's going to be a big red flag. And then also a girl that um, challenges you. If you say you're gonna it's like, say, a first date. If I say, "Hey, we're gonna go on a date. We're gonna meet here, go ice skating. We're gonna, I rented a motorcycle one time. We're going to go for an adventure. And then she questions that or doesn't really fall into frame of what you want to do, then that's kind of a red flag. And maybe she's been corrupted by, Western society as well. But generally, yeah, what are you going to say?
What would your, because this sounds like a lot of fun, an adventure or ice skating or something. What would be your pretty girl comes, she told you you like each other, you want to go on a first date to get to know each other? What would be your first date experience or what would you plan for the first date? Something like that.
Yeah, I would kind of feel it out. And again, if she is really high, first of all, I want the girl to be high interest. Like if I set a time and she says she's not available and doesn't want to reschedule, then I kind of know that she's not high interest. So first being high interest, let me know when you're free and we make the date. I've done stuff like I said, there's ice skating here, shooting guns, rented a motorcycle, going on an adventure. I did a photo shoot with a girl on a first date once. She had a great time. I rented a motorcycle and I needed to shoot some content with a motorcycle anyway, so I did that. But here in Bangkok, yeah, comedy shows, going to the river, there's like a dinner cruise. Maybe that's not for the first date, but if you know, yeah, if you know something, it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, walk in the park, going to a simple restaurant, not a rooftop bar at first. Maybe a first date is fine if she's high interest. But yeah, that's pretty much a few of the things that I've done.
I kind of follow the same sort of strategy, right? Because like there's actually an archery range pretty close to my house, and something like that, something where it's like that only takes a couple hours. It's a lot of fun, and you can see like, okay, is this girl interested in getting to know each other, or does she just want someone to pay for her 5-star dinner so she can post a story and show her
Exactly.
friends? You know what I mean? Because if you guys are dating and it's your partner, sure, do that. But like, I've had girls who'll be like, "Hey, let's go," like you said, do an adventure, do something fun. Or she goes, "No, no, if you want to date, you can go for dinner and we go here." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
later,
that
bro. I'm not trying to be your ATM." You know what I mean? And I like spoiling girls too, but like, I want to make sure that you're actually worth the time that I'm investing with you. You know?
Yeah, I like spoiling 'em too, but if they suggest that at first, I pretty much say I was like, "Hey, we need serious chemistry before I do that, like, you have to earn that rooftop bar," and I don't do that on pretty much a first date, um, until we have a serious connection, and I throw that out there, and if they're not receptive to that, then there's other girls in line waiting to I'll do something.
I'll even take it a step further, bro. I'll straight up say to them like, I don't even know if I like you. I don't know. Sure, won't know what I mean? And like, yeah, well, like, if we like each other, sure, we'll go somewhere. But like, I'm not trying to go crazy with. I'm not trying to marry you right now. We're friends. We're getting to know each other. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's just kind of interesting having like a nice, easy way to get to know someone like that, like a nice activity. I mean, Bangkok's full of activities, bro. Um, the last date I went on, we went to like the sauna, ice bath, onsen sort of thing.
I did that too. Yeah, so
It's cool. It's a lot of fun. Take some photos and stuff, but it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. You know what I mean?
yeah. More social, yeah, I went to, I actually took a girl my current girl that I'm dating, we went to Dip Onsen on the second date, and fine. And not too expensive, it's social, it's healthy environment, and, yeah, the onsen is another good thing that I have done and suggested, and if the girl is high interest, then she should have no problem going to a spa as opposed to going to a bar on a first date is I don't think that's very appropriate for a first date for a guy to, just spoil these girls and then corrupt them into thinking they deserve to get rooftop dates and fancy dinners on a first date just from the Farangs and stuff like that.
I've done it. I've even done it a couple times where it sounds mean, where I've asked a girl like, "Hey, would you like to go and play archery? Let's go do something fun on the weekend." They go, "Haha, yeah, maybe. I'll let you know." Nah, I'll go with someone else and I'll post it on my story. "Oh, I had a great time today." Whatever, post the photos. "Oh, we were supposed to go there." "Yeah, but you're acting stupid, bro." So
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if you said yes, sure, okay, cool, we go. But if you're trying to give me some, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're not interested enough. Like, we're not gonna have the right chemistry. gonna waste both of our time. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and I think that some guys, because foreigners have the money to, and then they're getting attention from girls, so they might for that first date do the fancy dinner, and then these girls get corrupted and think that they deserve that on a first date, and it just creates a whole messes up the male female dynamics again, even with the foreigners coming over here and trying to date the women, and then ends up kind of backfiring, and then they get all spoiled and think they deserve that kind of treatment on a first date from a guy. And some girls don't. They are just totally normal, traditional girls, and they are actually looking for a real connection and a boyfriend or a relationship. So
I think, uh, going back to that, two things. One, some girls you can tell right away they definitely do. Maybe you really like her, whatever. Like, I think they definitely do deserve the time. But a lot of the time, you have to get to know them a little bit first, or it could be you met them with a group of friends, and this is your first time on a solo date, just the two of you or something. But if you've known them a little bit, maybe you can, take care of them more or something like that. But one of the interesting things that I saw was during COVID, none of the foreigners were here. So all the girls' egos, all the games, all the nonsense just vanished. It was hilarious. Like girls that would never text you back were all of a sudden, oh hey, what are you doing? They're like chasing you now because you was the only foreigner here.
I was not here. That's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it was like no traffic, no competition, everything was half price. It was like COVID was like the best time ever in Bangkok. I had the most fun ever. But it was really interesting just seeing like all the fugazi and all the games and all the egos just plummet. And then once the airports opened up and all these tourists and stuff started coming back, it went back to the way it was. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But for that small vacuum, that small 6 months or whatever, you could just see exactly everything at face value. And it was just an interesting perspective.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of my philosophy around martial arts and taking care of myself. Can you go through like you're a fighter and you've actually been in real competitions? So can you give me your philosophies on training and probably diet as well? What's your diet like?
Certainly, Buster. I think it's really easy as a fighter to stay motivated because if you like, especially like once I have a fight booked, especially, I know, okay, this guy's walking around with my name on a target. You know what I mean? Like this guy's training every day to hurt me, to take everything away from me. And so when I see he's training, I know I have to match it because we're going to meet on that date and whoever's more prepared on the day is going to win. There's no like, I think martial arts or training specifically, it kind of eliminates the guesswork in the sense where I used to think that people would be, you know, either you have it or you don't, or they're lucky or they're not, or there's, different things like this. Whereas I realize like a lot of the time, if you just work harder than the other person most of the time, you can really shift everything in your advantage. So I feel like the philosophy behind training is just like always out competing someone. And if you don't have an opponent or a match lined up, you're trying to out compete maybe yourself yesterday or your previous goal or something like that because you know that someone's going to come and you have to fight again at some point. You know what I mean? I guess the routines that I would set would be mostly just working around understanding you have to outwork someone, but also trying to be smart around it too. I think it's got two archetypes when it comes to preparing for a fight, and one is super sciencey. Every gram of protein matters, and everything is super precise. And then once it's kind of like a bull where they just train until they're almost sick and then try to fight. And I think the perfect balance is somewhere in the middle. If you analyze every piece of science or like if you analyze your workouts too much, you just end up being a pussy. Because like any doctor would say, oh, you didn't sleep enough, you didn't eat enough, you didn't blah, 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 and it's not healthy, you should take a break. But then what, you're just never going to train ever? You know what I mean? You're always going to feel shit when you're training. And then the other side is you're ignoring all your nutrition, you're ignoring your sleep and everything. So I think you have to kind of be somewhere in the middle, take balance from both sides of the spectrum, perhaps.
Okay. And then on your diet, like, can you just briefly touch on like what your diet is like, I guess?
So, to be completely honest, bro, I don't have a specific diet. I have foods that I try and avoid, which is really anything that I kind of think if this food wasn't around 200 years ago, probably shouldn't eat it now. Okay. Realistically, so like ice cream or anything super processed and something like that, it's probably not natural. But that's really the only thing that I keep in mind. Or I guess if I'm trying to lose weight or something, I just try to cut out unnecessary calories first. So I was training a girl a while ago and her diet was normal and she wasn't losing weight. And I asked her like about everything she consumed. And she said, "Oh, every day I go to Starbucks and I get like I don't know, caramel frappe whipped cream nonsense coffee." And I looked at it and it was 1,200 calories. And I was like, that's almost a girl's daily intake in one drink. And I was like, if you switch that to an Americano, you're in a 1,200 calorie deficit. You're going to lose weight. And she lost like 3 kilos in a month. That was really the only change that we made. So when I'm trying to buy some fruit or something, I'll look and I'll be like, I'll just sort of think roughly in my head, I need about this many calories. And these gummy worms is going to be 30 minutes of running on the treadmill and there's no nutritional benefit to them. So I'll try to cut that out. But I don't really have like a strict this or that kind of diet.
Do you do intermittent fasting or do you eat 2 or 3 meals a day?
Uh, I certainly don't plan to intermittent fast, but a lot of the time I'll end up doing it. I don't like to eat before training. And so if I'm training, you know, 10 a.m., I might have my last meal at 8 p.m. So it ends up being sort of like a 12, 16 hour fast, but it's not necessarily like I'm measuring the time or something like that. It's just like that ends up being about an 8 hour eating window, sort of a lunch and dinner,
Mhm.
and then it will end up being intermittent fasting. But it's not something that I plan or monitor too much.
Okay. I pretty much have done that for the past, like, 8 to 10 years, like, not and it's just become my lifestyle is to intermittent fast. Not that I'm actually trying to do it, but it's just been a habit that, I don't eat until 2 to 4 p.m. usually, because I do like to train on an empty stomach. Unless I plan on training later in the day, then I do have to have something small, whether it's just juices or maybe yogurt or something light, and then have my big meal at the end of the day, which is what I usually do, is that just helps me out with the calories, staying lean and not overeating too much. And if I do overeat, it's generally on healthy stuff. But it's easy to cut back if you just that I found just to do pretty much skipping the breakfast and do intermittent fasting. Again, that's not something that I even think about now. It's just kind of my lifestyle is intermittent fasting and just eating really one big meal a day and maybe a small snack or meal during the day if I'm training really hard because I know I'm gonna burn the calories.
And do you have like a do you ever have to switch it up? Because I know much like yourself, much like myself, there's always gonna be a certain day like I'm shooting this action scene, I have to look super ripped. Or for me, it might be I have to do an underwear commercial, or I have to lose weight for a fight. And there is sometimes periods where I have to lower my calories or take more attention towards my diet. Is there anything that you have to do to help you prepare for a specific day or something like this?
Well, the acting jobs usually come on a very short notice within a week, so I just have to stay ready, honestly. If I know I'm taking off my shirt or something, which doesn't really happen too much, that is a shirtless scene, but I mean, I just want to look fit if I'm, shooting, and especially my jawline and skinning the face, I think is mainly the thing. But I pretty much just stay lean as much as possible and in shape. It hasn't really been that difficult. I'm not shooting anything crazy like up close, like body shots or anything. I have not. And if I do, then I'm pretty much gonna be good enough compared to my competition in terms of leanness. So pretty much it's easy to stay that way just with intermittent fasting and a good diet.
Because that's one thing I wanted to ask you about actually, because I mentioned before, like I don't really consider myself an actor or a model or something. It's not something I've done. Uh, I've done a lot of jobs, but it's not something that I've done like consciously as a learn how to act or something like this, right? I've always been a fighter first that sort of stumbled into the roles. And I was wondering, can you tell me like some advice about how would you go from someone like myself who was a professional fighter, and how would you, if you were me, how would you use my skills to transition more towards the acting stunt, sort of choreography style of things? Because I've done choreography for a couple of Thai series before, kind of smaller Thai series. They're doing like jujitsu and stuff like that. And I sort of choreographed through the sequences. But what advice would you give to someone like myself who is going to use my skills as a fighter towards movie style roles or something like this?
So the acting in the stunt scene is kind of crazy, and there's no specific directions, but the most important thing is you want to portray yourself as, a fighter. So that skill does transfer over to stunts. The other skills like that I've noticed people do really well in stunts is like professional wrestling, like being able to tape hits and falls. I'm talking about like WWF type stuff because they can actually, you want to be able to have your body prepped for awareness and actually hitting the ground. That's gonna how you're gonna be start. Also, like gymnastics, like self-aware flips and stuff like that. Being self-aware, having your tendons really strong and not just being, big or muscular, because that's like, all you're gonna do is really get injured. If your tendons and your ligaments are not strong, you're just gonna get injured. So also special skills like skateboarding and stuff, like being able to balance properly, all that stuff really does. I've seen guys come in with no stunt or movie experience and just like that specific skill, and they have done pretty good, or they've actually gotten jobs pretty quick as opposed to somebody that maybe just played like soccer or just some normal generic sport, basketball. They're gonna have a tough time because that stuff doesn't really necessarily just athleticism transfer over to stunts, because there's, you're gonna start off probably fighting or something very specific. Like mine was I was good at motorcycles, like, and riding horses. Like I was good on a motorcycle, so that was like one of my first jobs. I worked for Disney World, and one of the stunt shows. And then overall, that just kind of just transferred over to me actually researching what they want, and that was more like martial arts fighting. So I started doing taekwondo, gymnastics, and also went to like some tricking gyms where they do like the crazy tricking and flipping and stuff like that. But definitely you're gonna have to have video of yourself and photos that show them what you can do and what you look like, and a lot of videos. And then if you have them work, then that's good professional work. Like clip it all together and then submit it to the casting directors, and they definitely will look at that if you have, because here the competition, there's competition, but it's not like the U.S. and there's less of us like white guys. We're basically competing against Russian guys.
Right.
So if we already have the English and you have Thai, I don't really have that much Thai, but if that role calls for that, I haven't really seen too many jobs where they want the white guy to speak fluent Thai or Thai, but I guess there are a few, because I know my other buddy, he's with a few jobs. But yeah, that would be my advice, is to get a bunch of pictures and videos of your specific skill and then present that to the stunt coordinators. Go to some networking events. They actually have some here, and then just submit on those Facebook groups here in Bangkok.
Because I'm actually quite good friends with some of the guys that do like the professional wrestling scene here in Thailand. I'm not sure if you've seen.
No, I not.
They're pretty wild, bro. Like they were doing it like at one of the events in Pattaya. They were like fighting in the pool. They were riding a scooter, and the one got like kicked off the back of the scooter and stuff. Like it was intense. And they wanted me to come and join. And I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I have to learn the specifics of stunt fighting, which is, you have to make it look right for the camera and hit, but not actually hit them. And, I'm sure it's something that I would be good at with the skills that I already have, but definitely it's a skill in itself, especially like, I guess selling the shot, because like when we're fighting, you hit me, I'm supposed to just not move. And then when we're acting, you hit me, I have to like throw my head around and do whatever the sequence is. But definitely something I want to branch more into, because the acting and stuff I've done now is a lot of like presentation, or I've done some stuff like I've been an astronaut, I've been like a robotics scientist. I've done like a bunch of stuff that's not really myself, if that makes sense. So I'd like to actually showcase my main skill, my best skill, which is fighting, and incorporate it into my new I guess you call it a career, my new career as an actor or something like this. But the only thing I've really done on TV with martial arts aside from fighting was I was on a dating show here in Thailand, and basically they asked me, they're like, "Can you flirt with 30 girls at once?" And I was like, "Yeah, how hard could it be, you know?" And then they wanted to just do some boxing and stuff like that. But I feel like I want to actually showcase my proper martial arts ability in a movie or commercial or a fight scene or something like that. But yeah. Is there anything in particular, like, do you have any specific drills or classes or something that you would recommend me doing?
We can definitely go to the gymnastics gym and train. Also, I know a couple stunt coordinators, they have their own gym. I can try to I've been to a couple of them, and, they have, like, wires, like, where I did a Pringles commercial where I was on wires and stuff, and that's hard to get training for that, but they actually have that at the gym. But overall, I would say gymnastics gyms where the pad floor, so you can hit the floor and do rolls and stuff like that. Again, yeah, because like you said, it's not regular fighting, like, there's more reaction into it, and it's a more of a dance and choreography as opposed to regular fighting. But as long as you have a look and then you can, learn those transferable skills, that's definitely gonna be good. And then just connecting with the stunt coordinators or trying to get on set and doing that, so.
Yeah, because I've linked up with a couple of guys, and I even told them, like, "Yo, I'll do the first couple jobs for free just so I can be on set and be involved, see how it goes and stuff like that," you know what I mean? But, definitely feel like I would be sleeping on an attribute of myself if I wasn't trying to incorporate it also into my acting or something like that too.
Yeah, we're all here in terms of acting in the stuntman work, like, it's my passion, and I like doing it. I'm not doing it full time, but you never know when I mean, before I came here, I auditioned for Happy Gilmore 2, which just came out on Netflix. I don't know if you know. And, yeah, you never know when that next big thing is gonna come. Like, I've had so many hard hard breaks in acting. Like, I'm this close to booking a commercial with Tiger Woods, and then they drop me at the last second. It's like, it's crazy, very extremely frustrating, but it kind of, you got to do it and hope for the best. Really overcome those setbacks. But that's my advice. I'm not the best for that because I'm not a full time actor or stuntman, but I've booked some big jobs and I've been doing it for now almost 10 years. Well, been in the mix, like, pursuing it, and had the tough breaks, and I've been on set. I've worked with big name celebrities and stuff like that, and mainly Hollywood and Atlanta and also Miami, and then of course now here it's kind of completely different because it's in person audition, which I think is much better than the U.S. as opposed to I don't know if you know about how the audition is in the U.S. and the Hollywood. It's all self tapes. You're not going into the room to see the casting director or producer. You're just submitting a random tape and hoping for the best. Here they have it in person, and I think that's better because they can. First of all, you have less people going in because they can't see every 100 different people, so they're more pinpoint on what they want. And then also, you have to account for someone's aura, like in person aura and presentation, as opposed to just watching them on film. So
Right.
that's why I think I've had more success here is because of the casting process and my abilities and stuff like that.
'Cause I've been invited to, like, hundreds of castings, and I've been to a few of them. If they were, like, big job, like, for Samsung or something like that, I've gone. But to be honest, bro, they'll be like, "Oh, come to a casting," and I'm like, "Ah, fuck, I'm not gonna, like, drive across town for it and maybe not get the job," you know what I mean? But, I think it's something I should probably start doing more of, right? Because like you said, I feel like, filming something in your room, you kinda like, is this you can't ask for feedback, you can't do it again, you can't do something like that. But, I feel like once I'm on camera, once I'm in front of people, I'm comfortable talking, comfortable trying to act or something. But, yeah, maybe it's something I should do more in person, right?
Yeah, you just gotta think you're gonna get turned down 25 times before you get that job. So it's just a part of the process. If they call me in, I'm gonna do my best. If I fit the role and I want to do the role and it's pays, it's not that big of a deal. Take the 2 hours, jump on a grab motorbike and go. And then also you're getting seen by the casting director. So I've gotten calls for stuff that I didn't even submit to, and I just booked based on they just know me.
With the previous cast.
Yeah, previous castings, and then they know my talents and they've seen my face and stuff like that. So I've gotten a few jobs just based on that. But yeah, you definitely gotta go to every one because you don't know which one you're gonna get, and you're definitely gonna get turned down and have that, waste of time, so to say. But if you don't do it, then you're not gonna know.
Right. And do you feel like now stunts and acting and stuff like this, do you feel like this is your purpose in life right now? Do you have a specific purpose that you feel like you're gravitating towards?
Yeah, I do feel like overall inspiring people and helping others is my purpose because, I've had people reach out and they say that I'm inspiring because of, the martial arts and being fit. And then they see me on camera or on commercials or on the TV shows that I've done. And that kind of just gives me more motivation to do it. And knowing that I'm actually inspiring somebody, with my fitness, my healthy lifestyle and stuff like that. So, yeah. I would say it's a purpose, but overall, just my purpose is to help others and inspire people.
Mm. Yeah, I very much agree. With myself, I feel like a lot of the purpose that I've derived from what we're doing now is helping and giving back to other people. Like, when I was in New Zealand, I went to like a primary school, talked about not just healthy food and healthy eating and being an athlete and stuff like that. And now coaching too, it's very rewarding to see someone that walked in and they're overweight and out of shape and stuff. And then now you see them not only lose a bunch of weight, but go and get in a cage and fight and win and completely turn their whole life around just from the fact that they've been interacting with you. And, of course, I can't take all of the credit. They did the work, but being there to help guide someone or help, give advice to someone, I think is really rewarding. And I think you need that kind of masculine role model. I think that that's something that the world's really missing right now is everyone's too scared to say something or you're not supposed to say that anymore. It's not really masculine anymore. So I think that you do need some people to be able to come in and still give you solid, legitimate advice that says like, look, that's stupid, bro. Don't do that. We need more of this, less of this, something like that. Do you think so?
Yeah, just not being afraid to offend people or say the wrong thing. It's very crazy. Different times than when I first grew up. And not having any information online and all these different information from all these coaches or masculinity role models and stuff like that. There was none of that when I was on the come up. I had to ask my dad for advice, ask coaches, or just straight up fail, and get out there. I think that was pretty much better than what these younger kids are going through with it. Short form videos and their brains are all fried from scrolling Instagram and TikTok. So
I think I think it's been like a pressure cooker. They've created that because you're not allowed to say this anymore. Everything's so soft now that when there's one person that starts talking, even just reasonably, then I feel like kids are like, they've been craving that kind of, I guess, masculine energy. And then someone like an Andrew Tate or one of his characters, that sort of is what propelled them to fame because they're the only person that's not afraid to speak their mind. And so everyone gravitates towards them, whether that's good or not, whether it's too much or not enough or whatever. But I think that is what a lot of people are missing is just that traditional, like, this is what I think, I'm going to say it. I don't care if you like it or not. That kind of attitude. Is that something you think that we're missing a lot at the moment?
obviously, because those guys got so many eyeballs on them, and then all this money is made from these young kids buying the programs and wanting to escape the matrix and all that stuff, and not having any role models for whatever reason. Like, I don't know whether fathers are or what was going on with these younger kids because that wasn't an issue on my come up. It was all this toxic masculinity. Like, you got bullied, and that kind of helped you in life and where you were. But now I don't know what's going on with these young kids. And yeah, it's definitely good that there are voices to bring back that, hey, stuff's not right. The gender wars are not right. The dynamic between men and women is not right. And it's definitely been an eye opening, so to say, to see how the culture has shifted, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's super like, I want to make sure I say this properly. I think it's like you needed that because realistically, it's not. I think I was like the last wave right before all this nonsense came in. I just finished school and then it all turned to shit like the next year. So I think it's like the last one out of the gate, so to speak. But I feel like everything these guys are saying, if you said it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was just completely normal common sense. It was like everyone thought the same thing. And then now, since everyone got soft and dyed their hair blue, now all of a sudden it's like, it's such a big deal. But like, if you ask my granddad or my dad, he's just like, yeah, why is this guy even famous? Obviously, he's telling the truth. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know where the lapse is with the kids that were like growing up now to where they don't have a masculine role model and they actually need to consume all this red pill information and masculinity information online. So I didn't have that problem growing up. I, had to go out and talk to girls and get rejected and find out the hard way. Now they kind of have all this information about, how to attract women, and you need Instagram profile and dating app profile and stuff like that. And then they got to pay for courses just to learn how to talk to girls, or they either that, or these kids are not even getting laid. Like apparently over half the men, half the guys like that are in their teens and 20s are not even having sex, like, and they're just addicted to porn. So
Yes.
nerds. Yeah.
It's funny because like when I was at school, everyone got bullied and then they grew up and they got over it and then they got about their day. And now no one's getting bullied at school, so they're gonna pay Andrew Tate to bully them online.
Yeah.
So that like it's just like it's obviously necessary to a degree.
All right. So you've been here for 8 years. Can you tell me a little bit about what part of town you live in? Like what's your monthly cost of living, I guess, here in Thailand, in Bangkok?
Yes, I stayed pretty close to the center of town, but my cost of living is not crazy. I probably spend, I would say maybe 50,000 baht a month, which is very affordable. Yeah, my condo is only like 10,000 baht. It's not expensive, but it's super nice. Uh, Pool on the river, all this sort of carry on. So
Oh, you're near the river? What part of town?
just up the road, maybe like 10 minutes from here.
Okay.
So yeah, everything's super close. Got a bike. If I need to go anywhere, I'll take a grab or something like that. Uh, I don't really do anything too crazy in the sense of like I I eat what I want and go where I want to do what I want, but I don't find myself missing out on anything because it's too expensive or something like that. I earn enough and I've got enough that I can do whatever I want when I want to do it. Of course, the goal is to earn more, make more, whatever. But I would say if you're just doing regular things, 50,000 baht a month is super affordable, super comfortable. If you want to like go out and drink and stuff, like we said before, drinking all the time or something like that, yeah, it's gonna get more expensive. But I think if you just want to live a regular life, walk in, train, work, that's really all I spend to be
Yeah,
honest.
50,000 is about 1,500 USD, I think. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Well, the thing is about my living is I'm probably spending about between 2,200 and sometimes even up to like 3 grand a month. But that's mainly this apartment is 33,000 baht, so that's $1,000 right there. And then I do spend money on food because I want to eat good. So I'm probably still spending about 500 baht to even 1,000 baht a day on food meal, but it's healthy meals. Again, it's something that's helping me. And then, Muay Thai, I train Muay Thai or I do specialized classes, and that's another expense. Cause I don't have a membership for a gym. I just kind of go to different Muay Thai gyms or pay as I go. And it's like 500 baht per class. So if I do that 2 or 3 times a week, you can do the expenses there. But you don't have to live a extravagant lifestyle here. You can get everything you want and need for like 40 to 50K baht for sure. I just chose to live in this apartment for the lifestyle, the pool, this part of town that I'm in, and overall setup. But I might also change it up very soon to go to a less expensive place or a bigger place because in these high rise condos, my room is so small. Even though they have the other co-working spaces and common areas, the pools and stuff, it's still my living area. My apartment is pretty small, and as they all are, unless you want to really spend more money or get a 2 bedroom. So, but yeah, I think if I did my budget, it's right around between 2 to 2,500 on most months, just living expenses. Also, I like to get massages and go to the sauna and stuff like that, but I don't really do party too much. I was going out to events but only having like 1 or 2 drinks to, because I was newly single and I wanted to meet, people and socialize more. Because when I just had my first girlfriend, we just hung out together, and that was my life. I was perfectly fine with that because she was a great girl. She would just come over, we would hang out, watch TV, go out to dinner every once in a while, but, that was really, good, and then we broke up, and then I wanted to get back out and be more social, so up the cost a little bit, of that, and then now I'm dating, a new girl and probably do the same thing, just hang out. She seems really cool, doesn't ask for anything, treats me very good, and then I plan on doing the same thing, is just, doing that, same kinda routine, hanging out and working on my goals.
Yeah, I feel like I got kind of like a sneaky, well, not sneaky, but like my trick is like everything that I earn here in Thailand, I keep in Thailand, and that is like my daily, like monthly expenditure or something. And anything that I earn online, I send it back to New Zealand, and it just sits there. And so like I say, like I live a really modest, pretty normal lifestyle, and so I don't really need to spend crazy amounts of money. So I'm happy sending everything I make online back to New Zealand just to sit there and just, there'll be a rainy day or there'll be a day where I need to travel or need to do something and it's there. But I think, yeah, Thailand is the best place to come, especially to like when you're on the come up. It's so cheap. You can come live here. When I first moved here, my condo was like 2,400 baht a month, which is like,
Wow, less than $100.
yeah, less than 100 short. I mean, it was shit. It was like just a bed in a room. But all I was doing was fighting Muay Thai and training, and so that was all I really needed. I'd go to the gym, come back, sleep, gym. That was it. And then as I started moving up, working more, doing more stuff online, I started making a lot more money. Now I've got a nice place and enough to do anything that we need to do. But I think if I came here when I was 21, I think that's the perfect time to come because you can come here for 3 years and nothing comes of it, and you can still go back to 25 and do what you were doing anyway in your home country. You go back to whatever it is you're doing. So I don't feel like you lose anything by coming here and trying. You know what I mean? But if you don't, then you're gonna be stuck doing the same shit you're doing your whole life again. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I chose it. It wasn't even a thing until really the pandemic to go live overseas. In my opinion, I mean, people would do it, but it's kind of a new thing. So you were here before the pandemic doing that. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I had first come to Thailand back in like 2016, and then also the following year 2017. And I'd always I was like, man, this is amazing. If I could actually make a living and just live here, that would be fantastic, but it just wasn't even like a possibility, 10 years ago. Because I don't think unless you wanted to do some types of scams online or something, it just wasn't really a thing to make money, remotely at that time. But yeah, luckily now, I found acting and I'm doing that here. And then I have, people that I help online. So it's all been really fulfilling. And I've made a lot of gains and found even more purpose here in the past 7 months that I've been here. So there's also sacrifice. I don't get to see my family, um, you know, but I'm gonna go back there during the holidays and see them, and that'll be good. But overall, yeah, I've been set up and very happy with my move to Thailand, to Bangkok. So
Yeah, I think it's one of the best places to start. And I think the other thing is like it's easy to go somewhere else. If you want to go to the Philippines or Japan or Hong Kong or everything's right here. Me being from New Zealand, it's like a 10-hour flight to anywhere that's not Australia.
yeah, yeah,
So like you can go to Australia, it's like 3 or 4 hours. Aside from that, from you like beside the moon, you know what I mean? It's so far away. So you have to I think just the opportunity and the people that come here to Bangkok every year and the people that you get to meet and rub shoulders with is like so different. Like my hometown, New Zealand's at 8,000 people. No one ever goes there ever. But in the first 6 months of this year alone, George St. Pierre, John Jones, like all of the some of the most famous fighters in the world, comes out, all these guys, they're all here in Bangkok. They're all hanging out. There's so much opportunity and so many people visiting that the networks and the connections that you make here are like far exceed anything you could probably make back home.
Yeah. Because everybody is here pretty much, I've noticed, to really get out there and network, which I've been trying to do. I'm not the best networker and the most social, but I've been trying to get out there and actually meet some people and go to some events. So Bangkok is not boring at all. It has tons of things every day of the week, like you said, whether you want to do degenerate stuff or meet, business people or like-minded people. It's also good to network, especially going to the gyms and stuff like that and finding that environment. So
Yeah, definitely agree. Is there anything else you wanted to add into anything we missed or anything you want to go over?
no, I think we pretty much covered. That's going to wrap up the podcast. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And where can they find you on social media?
So I mostly use Instagram. So Jack Ferguson 125 135 is my Instagram handle. Same on TikTok and everything else too.
All right, cool. So I'm going to put Jack's handle down in the description below so you can reach out and follow him on Instagram and also my information as well, information from my school community, my Instagram. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Thanks for coming over, man.
Pleasure, Bert. Pleasure to be here.
All right. All right.